Kaiser,
What do you guys got
Here.
the phone down there?
Klein,
Here?
Supervisor,
Yes.
Clerk is here too. The treasurer is absent, she's at a seminar.
Okay. Approval of agenda. Have a motion?
I would like to add one thing to the agenda. And
Wait a minute, I thought that they passed a motion where the supervisor has to have that 10 days beforehand.
oh, you're absolutely right.
And all
I'll
information.
retract that.
Sorry, Rick, but.
No, you're absolutely right.
Okay.
Is there,
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda.
Second.
motion and a second on the agenda? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passed. Move on to the approval of the minutes.
No, public comment.
Check it first. Public
Okay,
comment.
we have public
Hey,
comment.
before we start, Craig Smith, you're first.
Right.
But I just want to say that this is the opportunity, everybody comes here and gets to watch the board do its business. And this is the public's opportunity to make comments that on the record. And so that's why we have this. So Craig, you're up first.
Okay, the only comment I have is that we're in the process of putting the stage together down here, and I come up with an idea which I give you a little drawing to look at. Approximate cost on this is going to be around $1,400. It would accommodate dressing rooms for people coming in and artists to store their equipment. It would be located at the back of the stage. The siding that I picked out, I just did a quick estimate on this with cedar shingle for siding, but you can change the siding to anything you want to. The cost is about the same.
Okay, can you take this to the planning commission also as far as capital improvement?
Good.
I wouldn't mind taking it.
Great.
Oh, I have it. Yeah, everybody has a copy.
Is that it, Craig?
And you will approach
That's
the
it.
planning commission
Thank you.
for their input.
Oh, absolutely.
Thank you.
That's positive moving forward. Next is Phil Moore. Yes. Next is Evelyn White.
There have been several times over the last few months that residents of this township has approached this board and asked to be put on the agenda the DNR grant and park improvements. These are a list of questions that I personally have regarding the DNR grant for improvements in dock. One, what are the beginning and, would anyone like a copy of this?
Yes, please. Thank you.
What are the beginning and completion dates set forth on this grant for all projects included within the scope of the grant? Has Briley Township received any progress payments for project work that has been completed to date? What is the specified timeline within the grant to complete all aspects of the projects encompassed by the grant? Has there been any request by this board or representatives of the board to the DNR for an extension to the grant to complete any phase of the grant as written? How much of Briley Township funds, including the park millage dollars, have been spent on the projects and phases of this grant? What line items in the Briley Township budget were utilized to pay for any and all work and materials to this date, and was it voted on by the board to move such money as they were utilized until the grant is paid by the DNR? When will Briley Township funds be reimbursed by payment from the DNR to the township for the work that it is or has completed? In what newspapers or trade journals have you advertised for companies to bid, and the specifications of the bids for the completion of the projects encompassed by this bid? Has this township attempted to invite or advertise for local contractors or businesses to bid on any project that was completed, or is it still listed as needed to be completed? What is the expected timeline for final completion of all aspects of the work described in this grant? And that is different than number 2, because number 3, what is the specified timeline? What is the expected timeline? That's 2 totally different questions. Has this board been diligent in applying for and paying for all necessary permits to work on and complete these projects? I respectfully request that these questions be answered today if possible, and if time is needed, I would like all answers to the above questions no later than the next scheduled board meeting. We are taxpayers of this township, and we do have the right to know what affects this township and that park. And my millage and park money, our tax money. I want to know what's going on with this. And it has been refused far too many times to get answers to what's going on there. So I am requesting that you address this, Bruno. You are my supervisor that was elected into that position, and it is up to you to keep us informed.
Thank you. Bill?
So again, no answers?
That's it. No.
Okay. I'm looking on the financial report, which Mary's not here to give. The only thing I can tell you is on the water fund, there's expenditure on there for $10,000. I don't remember the board approving anything for $10,000. It should have come out of this account for anything.
That's the first payment on the water system.
The BSNA? Okay. So I followed that for 7,000 or something on one, and it's close to almost 1,600, so that was.
There was 7,500 posted on the accounts payable.
Right. Okay. That goes up. All right. On the disbursement journal, Roger Fraser, $1,760. What's that for? First item on the top of the page. Checking notes, 37012.
1760 capital outlay equipment, Roger Frazier.
Sounds like carpet. I do believe, but I don't know.
It's what?
Carpet.
Carpeting too.
Okay.
Roger was the carpet guy we hired.
And underneath that, you got Britton Brown, gave it $47.56 for total for travel mileage. Where'd you go?
Taylor.
For meeting. And you got $40 miscellaneous. Right. Witness.
That's where it was reimbursed for paying.
Well,
I don't know what that is.
there was a difference in the cost of the chamber membership. I believe you were reimbursed
Yeah, but
for
that
it.
was only $25.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's true. And then there's capital outlay to Michael Canolius, something like that.
You know what the $40 is for then?
No, I don't. I don't remember. What was it? Oh, June 20th, so it's
And Michael Canolius, $835.
I think that's more than
I didn't
that.
see-
You got a
I didn't see
bill, I'm just wanting to know what you're
I
thinking.
think that's the rest of the carpet, because the 2 of those, that one, even though they're different people, they add up to the cost of the carpet.
But do you know that Roger and Michael are both with this carpet company we hired to do this carpeting?
Don't know.
Now, both you and Mary, you got warrants and you got checks. You and Mary should both know. So you should have an answer to that, $835, then the $40 that you don't know. how you pay bills if you don't know what the stuff's for. I really don't.
Well, if you remember, I haven't been here for a while. And that's because of my operation. And who did the bills was Mary and Ricky. And I don't, and I'm not familiar with it here, that's how that works.
Well, I'll let that go for
But
now.
I still don't know what I got $40 for, and I'm still trying to think about that, because I don't remember.
Okay, you got the notice of obligation to cut weeds. The noxious weeds issue. Very first page, it says page number 5 out of 5, and it's got 5 out of 5 instead of page, which probably would have had an ad of a magazine, because that's what it looks like. I'll figure that out. I don't know why. And the next page is page 3 out of 5. So we don't see 1, we don't see 2, and we don't see 4.
1, 2, 3,
I don't
4,
have it. So the thing I'm going to ask here, guys, is not so much that, but I was just wondering how it got on the front of this page, because obviously this is exactly something else.
You don't have the whole ordinance?
I've got 5 of 5, 3 of 5, and 2 of 5.
Oh,
I don't have 1, and I don't have 4.
okay, then.
And also on here, it doesn't give what the cleaning charge is if you do, in fact, have to cut some of the charge. The charge given that, nothing stated, you're just gonna make one up, or how you gonna
I
charge
think this was, yeah, I'm here for discussion.
that? Pardon?
I think this was.
Well, I know what it is, but I'm bringing it up because it's not in there anyway, okay? And the last thing I'm gonna bring up,
Bill, would you just speak up a little bit? I can't hardly hear you with this thing right in my ear.
You want to move further this
And
way?
others too, please. A little would help, thank you.
I'm looking at the proposed
Like that.
directive to the planning commission, board priorities. Very first item says eliminate or redo historic area. Can you help me understand why it needs to be redone? Or certainly not eliminated. I don't understand either one of those. Certainly not the elimination.
There's another problem with that too. The board has to be very careful about influencing the planning commission, and especially the supervisors not to influence the planning commission or to speak at their meetings.
I got that.
Okay,
This says items the Briley Township Board requests of the planning commission to look into and report to the board.
I had no knowledge of this.
Well, I'm looking at it, and I think, yeah, that's fine, but you guys must have had something to do with it. Why are we doing that?
It's
Why are
on
we
here for
withdrawing?
for the board to discuss today. I
Pardon?
cannot tell you where this is gonna end up, it's for discussion on the board.
I'm still not here.
So these are on here for discussion for the board. You guys want us to discuss stuff in front of the public. So somehow, something's gotta get on here for us to discuss.
Do you have this list of your job description?
So one of the board members wanted to get this on here. And I don't see a problem discussing.
Well, I don't either, but I don't understand that. That's number one.
Okay.
To develop a plan for zoning where marijuana is established, I thought you already decided not to have marijuana in the town.
Until the March 10th election.
I'm sorry?
Until the March 10th election.
That's correct.
And then we
we'd
asked
like
the
to-
planning commission to have a contingency. Should the voters elect to have establishments here?
So there may be marijuana in Briley Township.
It's up to the voters, absolutely.
Fine.
That's the way we look
And
at
an
it.
airport hub, what's the what? Well, now it's small, real small airport.
Something that was,
Never hurts to look at stuff.
Well, I realize that, but I realize it's a waste of time and so on if you don't look at things that are doable. To go into something and
This
just
is a
spin your
suggestion.
wheels is
We're not
worthless.
ordering them to do anything. If they say,
I know you can't.
if they say it is a waste of time, hey, it's a waste of time.
Well, I just had a question on that, Doug, because that didn't sound right to me. The big surprise, and certainly redoing the historic area or eliminating is huge. So I don't know why you would do that anyway, because half your ordinances have to do with, not half, but a large percentage of them have to do with the district downtown. A lot of them. So do you want to rewrite all that again?
I'm not sure if that's our historic district.
I'm sorry?
I'm not sure if that's our historic district. I'll have to wait for the planning.
Well, you don't have a historic district.
Yeah,
There's no historic district here, otherwise you have to have historic buildings.
good. So I don't know where the discussion's gonna lead, so
I don't either, but I'm just asking the question, because I see some of this is spinning the wheels. Okay, thank you, appreciate it.
do you wanna take this time to possibly talk about some, maybe the videos that are coming in for economic development for the county? Videos that are coming in for county economic development?
EDC? Yeah, we have a meeting on that.
Oh, you don't have anything prepared yet?
No, back to
All right, we're good. Thank you. Hey,
Do you want to approve all 3 minutes at a time, or do you want to approve them 1, 2, 3, whichever way it is?
whichever way the motion gets in and gets dismantled. Somebody make a motion to approve the minutes if you'd like. Either individually or collectively.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve them all collectively.
What is their support?
I'll support that.
Motion and support to approve the minutes, the 30th, June 17th, and special meeting of June 24th. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
The motion passed. Okay, financial report. And,
Received and filed.
receive and file, a motion to receive and file, is that from you, Ed?
Do you need a motion to receive and file?
Or would be,
Okay, motion to receive and file.
is there support?
I'll support it.
Motion and support to receive and file the treasurer's report. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
No.
So we file the treasurer's report. Accounts payable. Refer to the clerk's office.
Okay, I'll make a motion to pay the bills.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion and second to pay the bills. Any discussion?
Well, as came out earlier, there are a lot of things that are being paid when we don't know really what those monies are being spent for, and we're not sure who's doing what. So I really think it's inappropriate to approve those expenditures when we can't answer the public as to what these expenditures are made for.
Well, I'll vote to approve all the bills for the carpeting, because the carpet's laid. If that's what those bills are for.
If.
Correct. That's a contingency on those bills. Although I will not approve the Edwin Comber, because you don't know what it's
I don't know
for
what
either.
it is, I don't know what it is.
So
We'll eliminate that
if you
for
will
now.
eliminate those, that $40, because until we find out what it's for, I don't think they'll leave money that you borrowed.
I don't remember getting $40.
Okay, but, with that removed and on the contingency that there was 2 capital outlays, which very well could be the carpeting, I'll go along with your,
Okay, roll call. Kaiser,
No, people have to know how we're spending their money.
Klein,
Yes.
Supervisor,
yes,
Clerk, yes.
pay the bills with those exclusions and those conditions, please. Okay. Moving on. Well, there was new business. I believe Wilma Walter was supposed to be here today, but I do not see her in attendance. So we'll leave her open, let's skip and go to the water overage. I believe the clerk has a report, maybe?
I was still changing the
Okay.
bill payment and stuff. So what's
Sorry.
the,
Water overages, settlements.
yeah, I don't really have a motion on this. I don't know how the board wants to deal with it. I'm just kind of interested in an opinion, maybe a motion after that, as to, we have a few $1,000s in water overages. Do we want to give somebody the authority to settle those? Like if somebody owes $1,000, do we want to give, let's pick a number, Mary Jo, authority to settle for 600, or do we want to go for the whole money, or how do we want to treat these water?
How old are the water, how far back do the arrearages go?
Well, some of them are too far to collect.
Well, right, but what I'm saying is, could it be a staged effect, so to speak?
Oh,
Where
sure.
if it's within the last 5 years, they can get, say, 50% off. If it's farther back than the 5 years, if it's 10 years, 25%, off of it to come in and settle it.
We can do it any way the board wants. I'm only bringing it up.
Question, are you talking about the letters that Mary sent out about people owing?
Yeah,
Those are not collectible. It's not legal to collect those. They do not follow the property, they follow that person, okay?
that's not
And
true.
we have, yeah, it is.
No, it isn't.
Not in
I
any of
have
the research I
confirmation
was
from
doing on
the-
water billing.
I have confirmation from the treasurer of the county.
Yeah, she's wrong.
No, she's not.
Yes, she is.
And the research I was doing about how to properly change the water billing into something better, it is collectible, but there is a time frame on it. You can't collect farther past the 5-year mark. That people can volunteer to pay, but we can't force it.
Well, there you go. And now
And
you're
they
trying
follow
to
the
force
property,
them.
not the person.
Well,
That's
I-
why
If
it's-
does, in fact,
there's
follow
no-
the property.
There's no lien.
If there's no lien, you
Buys
can't.
that,
if we
you
have
got
a
nothing.
clear tax
You-
record, you may
And
not
you have to have a
collect,
lien filed.
The
period.
bill itself, originally, that is.
Those letters, in fact.
People aren't getting the bill
Not.
itself,
According
they're
to
getting
the-
a letter.
According to the Attorney General, when
Show
you
me
look
the
up
bills.
your bill,
Show me the
Yeah.
bills.
that is a lien on the property.
Show me
Well-
the bills. You don't just write a letter and say you'll owe
No, I understand.
$159.
Are there bills
We- we
available
have
for
looked
that?
into it.
I'm sure there is.
I mean,
There, well,
Well-
why didn't we receive them?
Or they,
This is not not lawful, and the county treasurer has ruled on that, and she knows a little bit more about it, because she
You know,
has a ton of experience.
let's
She's
back up
also
the horse.
wrong, and Mary,
I think she
Mary and I got
realizes
the
that.
statute, and we
She said
forwarded
that.
it to her. Now, I don't know if she's changed her mind or not, but that was only done
Nancy
very
said she
recently,
realizes
so I
it
don't know
goes
how
with the
recently you
property.
talked to her, but the fact of the matter is, that the statute says, and Mary has a copy of it, I don't, that
Not without a
it
name.
follows the property.
we've contacted numerous municipalities with water systems.
Bill.
That well may be.
Do you not know the
I got,
property?
the next part of that question would be this.
That's true.
If you're going after past money, why are you not going after present money? You guys, when you sign out these water bills at $75 a pop, and the heavy users in this town are way up in the money every single month, and they got a $75 minimum. I mean, come on already. You guys screwed up. You screwed up a lot of money. You should have billed those people, even if it was on the average per quarter, not just giving it for $75. I know there's several heavy users here. and
Every one
they
of our
weren't
bills
charged.
says zero
Talk
usage,
now.
62.50.
First quarter that they did that, plus it's $4,000.
I was gonna ask
Yeah, I
Ed
know,
the
but
question.
I'm
He
not
said
making
too.
any motions.
And these bills are
I'm
not
just asking-
collectible
I'm
for
just
people who have a
asking
clear
for-
title
I
and
would
deed to
ask-
their
Ed?
property.
I would
Ed?
ask that we, before we set anything as far as giving anybody the authority to so-called discount a bill, let's make sure we have everything right here. And I'm sure we do. I've been working on this ever since about 3 months ago for the new, trying to come up with a new way to water bill. I'm sure the county clerk would be a good resource, and I'm sure she's already given us quite an avenue here. Let's,
She and Mary had quite a,
right, and that's why I say, I don't feel like we're doing anything wrong here, but before we go discount any bills, let's double check the
so
questions.
we'll just table this.
I would table it.
All we're trying to do is fix what happened in the back. Personally, I have my own opinion on whether or not I
You have a
feel
clear
any
title and
charges.
deed, and you do not have to pay outstanding bills by another person,
I'm not
period.
speaking.
Well,
Yeah,
the county
I'm done.
clerk instructed
I
us
am
that they
not
follow the
opening my-
property, not the
I will not
person.
be interrupted.
That's all right, but if you have a clear title and deed to it, the time for you to collect that would have been when it went up for tax sale, or when they put it in the paper, if there's any outstanding bills against this property, that's when you make your claim.
That's
Not years
the way
after
she
the fact.
instructed us.
Instead of what.
Well, we can suppose all we want, but
If there's
Instead of
any,
what our county clerk says, it would be good if you did your own research on this, because you would find out, excuse me, the county
oh, I
treasurer,
have been.
you would find out that she's mistaken.
No.
Don't you guys have a county or a township attorney that would be a
Yeah.
good
Yes.
resource for this kind of stuff?
Yeah.
Actually, he's not as well schooled as one might think
You wanna
on a lot of
send it to legal?
issues.
yes,
Just throwing that out there, seems like legal advice is you might want to get an attorney
we did,
point of view from.
we did.
Want to send it to legal, Rick? Instead of tabling it, or what do you want to do?
Has it already been to legal?
That's what
We've
Briley
had,
just said.
we've had
We
input.
did not get a certified letter from him that's gonna cost us money, but yeah, it was bounced through some.
I'm asking,
But we can send it and get a certified letter and have the township pay for it. I don't think that's necessary, I think
I
it's
don't think so either.
I would like
using
to-
the same formula as 200
The way you all
other
interpret
municipalities.
things, I'd love to see a certified letter from an attorney.
I would make a motion, we table this until we can talk to the clerk, the county clerk again.
What's the
Well,
cost
you
on
need
getting
to
a
talk to the
certified letter?
treasurer.
Excuse me, sorry. I
I'll support
misspoke.
that.
Yeah,
I'll support
what's the
that.
cost of getting the certified letter?
Motion and a second to, table this, water arrearages.
All right, table.
Any discussion on it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I,
Okay,
Aye.
motion- Let's table that discussion.
Good.
It's something that should have been fixed in the past and wasn't, that's all I want to say. That it's gotten this bad for this long and never been
Well.
corrected. I don't think the board should be scolded for trying to correct things moving forward.
Well, the water billing was done lawfully and correctly in the past.
And it was, and how did the arrearages get collected in the past?
I'm asking.
I'm
Wait,
sorry.
we tabled that.
We
We'll
move
just
on.
drop it.
Let's move on to water repairs.
Move
I'm asking
on.
for a very short recess.
Hey, how long,
5 minutes should be plenty.
is there a second for that?
I will second that.
Okay, motion and a second. It's a priority. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, 5 minutes?
Yeah, 5 minutes is enough.
Okay, 5-minute recess. Just jot that down. Gonna move down to job description for the
No. Water repair.
water repairs.
The bid, and it was a lot lower than Goswin Zubek. However, Eric kind of went, well, I don't want to say went nuts, but he was very unhappy with it. And he was very unhappy with it for a few reasons. One was that it didn't cover all the things that needed to be fixed. And he thought that what they were gonna do was try and get the bid and then add on and add on and add on. And he thought Goswin Zubek's bid was pretty much on the money. Also, we've done business with Goswin Zubek before and we've never been dissatisfied. Also, the company that did the second bid didn't even send an engineer. They sent a person that wasn't qualified to examine the water system. So all that boils down to is that Eric recommends that we get Goswin Zubek to fix the wellhouse problems at the $26,000 rate, which he says he believes will probably go up a little bit because there's always problems that develop. Something breaks or something this or something that, but he says he doesn't think it'll go up very much. And he thinks that's the right bid to take. So I move that we take that bid.
What is Eric's position on that?
I'll support it. I'll support your
What
vote.
did you say?
As far as,
Eric,
I
what does
support your
Eric
vote.
feel about going with Goslin Zuber?
that was his position.
He wants to go with Goslin
Yeah.
Zuber. That's what I needed to know. Okay. Continue.
Do we have a second?
It doesn't
Yes, I
include
do.
everything that the original bid had in it. So Eric's theory is that once they get in there and find out that they're gonna need all of that stuff, it'll get added in, and that's when it's too late, you're already halfway into a project.
Why not ask him to do it, not rebid it, with all the things labeled to do?
Eric can spell it out for him,
Yeah. You spec.
and we'll get a proper
Otherwise, how do
estimate.
you know that this quote is the cheapest?
Make them bring out an engineer.
There's a
They
motion.
already said that there would be things added to that, but if we're gonna get a quote, then why don't we have everything that we're supposed to be fixing there
Well,
in that estimate in the first place?
Because they didn't send an engineer,
That's
they
why,
sent somebody.
that's why we had an engineer to look at it, so the engineer could be qualified to be able to put all the bid specifications together to make a bid.
So
And
the
then
one
when you-
bid is inadequate, so it
So
should be
they didn't
discarded.
even, they didn't even send an engineer that was qualified to say those are the only things that needed to be replaced.
Did your
I
bid
think under my
specifications
understanding.
require an engineer? Did the bid specification you
I'm
put
not
out
even-
require an
You have to
engineer?
hire an engineer to get bid specifications. Unless you
No,
can
you're
put them
talking
together.
circles.
No,
You
Goslin
typically
Zubek has
write
their own
a-
engineer.
You typically write, a bid is needed for this. And in that bid, it specifies what it is that you want done. Did you put a specification in there for an engineer?
And who is
If not,
qualified
it's
to
not
put
apples
that
to
together?
apples.
Are you qualified? to
You're
do
my
it?
board, you're my superintendent, you're
I
the
am
one
not
that is supposed to
qualified.
be doing it.
I am not qualified.
To write a bid, to have a
Correct.
system repaired,
Correct. I
okay?
can-
Eric is
What are you
qualified to know
qualified
what's
for?
going on down there, and he personally met with the company when they bid this.
And he is very
He has
qualified.
22
I cannot
years of
attest
that water
that he could-
system under his belt. He's the only one that, in Briley, that's qualified to know what it needs.
Okay, so what do we need an engineer for?
If he
And
is
why
that
is there
person-
questions about this
If he
bid?
is that person and he knows what we need, why didn't he spec the job
Yep,
and let somebody bid it?
There.
That's
Thank you.
fair.
That's fair.
That makes
It's
sense.
reasonable. It's
Who's that?
logical.
Eric.
Eric's not qualified.
He
doesn't
just
know
said
it.
Eric
22
Well-
years of
He said
experience.
he's qualified.
He
Yeah.
knows exactly what's wrong there. He came and spoke to us one night,
Yes.
okay?
So we have a motion and second to take Eric's recommendation, the guy that you say knows what's going on, and take his
to ask for the
recommendation
specifications,
and use the engineering firm and repairs that Eric, once he knows
But isn't it?
what's going on, to use his recommendation. I seconded his motion.
Yeah.
This would have to take a roll call vote,
Mhm.
but if there's no more discussion,
Well, it's convoluted now, you know.
Yeah,
It-
circles.
Kaiser,
No,
Klein,
Under Eric's supervision, yes.
supervisor,
yes,
clerk, yes.
the motion passed. Okay, let's move on. Now to job description, part 10.
We have a proposed one
I
here,
don't know that, that's something,
Under the duties of the park attendant, just a couple things that I'd like to see added to it. Jay had to use his own equipment to get the park where it's at right now. And I don't think that that's fair to him. I don't see why he's not able to use the Briley equipment that we have right there. So I'd like to see that we put a clause in there that, you know, he is able to use Briley equipment in the process of completing his job. And I'd also like to see a stipulation that he can provide a monthly report to the board. And it not only just so we know what's going on down there, but also it's a level of protection for him. he had somebody illegally dumping garbage in the cans down there. They pulled in off the highway, pulled right up garbage cans, started throwing it in there. And before it was all done, sheriff's department got called on him, and it was a big, nasty, stinky mess, you know, all over something that the people were illegally doing. So if he creates a log of his daily activities down there, or even weekly, when that log comes in front of the board and we file those reports, if a person calls in, we've already heard about the incident and we know both sides of it, so to speak, and it creates that level of protection so Jay's not down there getting accused of stuff that never happened the way, you know, the incident actually occurred. So I'd like to see that added on to his job duties, would be to give us a monthly report. It doesn't have to be anything long or strenuous, but at least so we have an idea of what's going on down there and he has a level of protection.
Are you agreeable to that, Jay?
Yes, ma'am.
All
I
right,
am.
that's what I needed to know.
Is
And of course, she should be able to use Briley equipment.
that a motion?
That should be understood.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Is that a written motion?
No.
Yeah, he made the motion, I
Number
seconded.
9, if you look at
The
item
motion
number
was
9
to,
Do we need this
Jay
to be a roll
uses
call?
Briley equipment,
look at
Jay
item number 9,
reports to the
which
board.
says issue a ticket.
Yep.
Does Briley have tickets?
You have tickets?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Would you like one?
Pardon?
Would you like to see one?
Sure.
Okay, was
I
it Klein
do.
that made the motion?
Not
Kaiser
personally.
seconded?
Yes.
I made a motion to accept this with my additions.
Mr. Lamar?
Oh,
Thank you, sir.
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passed.
Yes, sir.
Now we're down to the attorney's matter.
Okay, what would be important with this letter from Mr. Graham at our law firm is what exactly was sent to him to evaluate. Because we did in fact have a signed contract with Amber that exists in this township. And we also, by this board's approval, approved her as our assessor until August 15th. Okay, so if that, you know, when I read this letter, it doesn't sound like that information was sent to him.
What was sent to Mr. Graham was exactly what, exactly the same thing as Amber sent us. No additions, no subtractions, no nothing, just what she sent us.
Did you send the signed contract and the minutes with
She
us,
sent-
this
she
board
sent-
unanimously
She sent-
selecting her
She
as?
sent the signed contract in her letter, and so that was one of the things that went to Mr. Graham.
Okay. But I don't see what the opinion was then. If you sign a contract with someone, then you owe them for the term of that contract. And when we sign that contract, she's not an employee or a contractor at will anymore. She's an independent contractor who we have an agreement with.
The purpose for this being in the...
So we pay her. There's also, as was pointed out in the Tribune letter, you have the problem of the townships are not by law allowed to have two assessors on the payroll at the same time.
No, you're only allowed to have one assessor of record. You could hire as many assessors as you'd like.
All
Just
right.
one is, only one
well,
as assessor of record.
Okay, Mr. Berg was in here working prior to the release of that. So therefore, he is of record, she was of record. Yes, he was. He was in here quite some time beforehand doing other things that are questionable. And I have 4 documents from Amber that back that.
We had an article in the Tribune, I think it was June 10th or something, I'm not sure. But anyway, it said in the article that you could only have one assessor. And that wasn't totally accurate, because as I'm sure everybody knows, Detroit, Saginaw, Lansing, all those places have God knows how many assessors. So we can have as many assessors as we want, but we can only have one assessor at record.
We know that,
And what I
Ed, but
was
we had
hoping-
2 people
and
under
what I was
contract.
hoping was that Amber would agree to make this a smooth transition and would continue to work. But that's not what happened. She just quit. So, under those circumstances, Mr. Graham says we don't owe any money.
No, she did not quit.
She did, she sent certified mail
Well,
resigning.
that was after we already hired Mr. Berg,
Right.
and he had already started here. And she was good enough to transfer records and whatnot to him. But this board had already hired Mr. Berg and didn't even bother to tell Amber. That's the truth.
And believe it or not, they were both listed with the state as our assessor at
Yes,
the
they
same
were.
time.
Two
And that is a
assessors,
violation,
I've got the
people.
documents.
Of record with the state, 2.
2. That is correct. So cut the subterfuge, you did that.
Pay off her contract.
You have no choice, you have a written contract with it. So we pay 2. Again.
No, if there's no motion, then I'm just not gonna pay her. If there's a motion, then we'll do whatever the motion says to do.
Well, you sign a contract with somebody, you have to pay it. All right?
Essentially, they're not wrong.
That's also the law.
Well, hearing no action, let's move on to the noxious weed ordinance. Okay,
Okay, I'll move adoption of the noxious weed ordinance.
is there support?
I'll support it.
Now discussion.
Okay, discussion. In your public comment, you are right that this is something I brought back in April from the MTA conference. It was a blanket thing available as a resource to any township. So it was used, in that aspect. The whole idea, and I think it's more just to clean up, there's some places around town that need mowed that aren't gonna get mowed. And I don't think it's fair that you guys should necessarily have to pay for that out of your tax dollar. If Eric and Harley go mow it, I think the people should get sent a bill. And if they keep track of their time, we can charge them Eric or Harley's hourly rate. I think that'd be a good, fair way to do it.
Well,
It should be in the
okay.
ordinance, so.
I need to know.
I do agree with that, but I've never myself sat down and tried to write an ordinance. So using resources like what I learned, obviously there's more I gotta learn, but
Okay.
Well, I agree with you, I agree with what you said about the noxious weeds, I mean, that definitely.
and I think it should be defined as just the downtown district. You don't wanna go tell some guy that's got a hay field, you gotta mow your grass,
That's true.
He's got it anyway. He wants to have it.
Question.
Sure point.
What does state law say there, and what is the MCL on any noxious weed? Because what happens is, and an attorney wrote a very good article in the Mining Gazette, an Upper Peninsula magazine, that very little that is not clearly defined in state law is enforceable by townships. Now, if you're going to start fining people, then people are going to dig into what is legally possible for you.
oh,
to
this
do.
is legally possible.
Well, what's the
possible.
MCL on that? Because I want to look up what state law says. Otherwise, you're just hanging yourself out there according to the...
Well, it says right at the top, 1941, Public Act number
Right.
359.
Okay, 1941.
And
It's right in-
1945,
it's right in the
Public Act
ordinance.
246
Okay.
is amended.
well,
And this was sent to me by the MTA, by the way.
okay, if I read that and the state agrees that you can start fining people,
You didn't take it out of the folder stuff? Because the same one is in the
Oh,
folder.
yeah, that's right, it was, yeah, I got it from the MTA, I got it from you, that's right. Yeah, because
Alright.
you got it from the seminar you went to, yeah, that's
So-
where I got it.
when I get this whole stack of stuff on Monday morning, and I was in here Thursday to get my board packet, it's hard to check out all of these things. So, continue,
Okay,
and I will
tax
check the
lien
law.
ordinance,
There was a
roll call.
motion, and a second.
Kaiser,
No.
Klein,
Yes?
supervisor,
No.
no,
It needs more refinement.
yes. Fails 2-2.
Correct. It just needs more refinement, and it can be brought back to us with some of those questions answered.
All right, filing fee.
Okay, I'm asking for a $30 filing fee payable to the 88th District Court to bring a small claims action for $185 that the township is owed.
Small claims action.
What action is that?
Against whom?
Is there a second?
Mr. Coomer, what,
There's no
against who?
What action are you talking about?
I'll support it.
Okay,
No, let's discuss it.
yeah, we'll discuss it.
Whatever it is.
What action are you talking about?
Talking about $185 that trustee Kaiser raises for damage to the,
I did no damage there, didn't touch those poles, and I have witnesses to that fact, Ed.
What about the witness statements filed with the sheriff's department that contradict that?
And
Well,
why wasn't there charges brought?
well,
There
no,
was. The
no.
prosecutor, well, no, excuse me. The prosecutor
was
chose
never.
not to prosecute
There are no
Here's the
charges.
news, Rick.
No charges.
You stood right there.
and watched you shaking the poles
I
to loosen
did
them from the
never. You
concrete.
came down from the bar, and that's a lie.
I'd
I
like
didn't
to
No,
touch
it's
those
not a
poles.
lie.
There was no disturbance when Phil and Barbara walked up there.
So why
There
did
was
two
none.
poles have to be
There weren't-
reset and fresh
I
concrete?
have no idea.
No.
Because you shook the
No.
poles.
I did never. That is a complete lie, but if you want to go to court over
So
this,
there's
I'm
15
gonna
witness
sue for
statements,
attorney
there's
fees.
15 witness statements that
That's
are,
bull.
they're all complete liars also?
There was nobody there but you and I, and then Phil and Marva came
There
up.
was two adults on their bicycles, and there was
was one kid way over by the boat launch
There
and
was
one
kids
way
in the
over by
gazebo.
John's.
kids in the
Are there
gazebo
cameras
there.
in the park?
What?
Aren't there cameras in the
There are.
park?
I'm
They're
sorry.
supposed
So
to be.
where
I
is it?
didn't touch those
On?
poles. And then you're not extorting
Yes, they
money
should have
from
been.
me, and I told you
It's
How
not
before.
an
would they have been
extortion.
pointed to
It's a lie,
the
Rick. I
children's?
didn't
It's not a
touch
lie,
any
I'm not a
poles.
liar.
Yeah, that's why we
So
got
where
it looked
is
at.
the
Nor
video
am I, and I
evidence?
did not touch those poles.
Okay.
And you wanna,
Well.
if you wanna do that, then you will be in court, because I can prove I didn't do it, and I have witnesses to the
One
fact.
more question.
We also have witnesses to the fact that you did.
They lie under oath, that's jail time. I
They're
did not
gonna-
touch
They
it.
didn't lie when they wrote their statements. I didn't lie when I wrote mine.
Yes,
Okay.
you did, Rick.
No, absolutely
I
not.
did not touch any poles. Where are the
Okay.
cameras in the park? I didn't touch
They're
them.
fixed cameras.
Yeah, there's.
And
How are they
pointed
gonna
in
show
that
any
direction.
action?
Well, they supposed to be.
They got us on camera.
Okay, this
I'm
is.
just
Take a look
No,
at
there
them.
should
I
be
did not
more.
touch any
Rick,
pole in that park.
Does
Did no
this board
damage
know how
whatsoever.
much it cost
Ever.
to put that whole thing up, the whole cage up?
$185.
No, it was donated, the $185 was the cost of having them come out to redo the two poles that were disturbed.
How
I
much was
did
the
not
cost then
touch it.
initially, even though it was donated?
$185.
Someone had to
I
get
could swear
paid.
to it under oath. Other
Someone
people are
got
gonna have a
paid.
problem,
How much
but I have
was it?
witness to the fact.
$185.
According to your invoice, it was $185.
Do what you're gonna do when we see you in court.
Warning first,
gonna-
Ed.
There's no reason to babble on.
Okay, we have a
That's
don't
baloney,
go for
and you're
It
getting
would
nothing.
It's spending money, it needs to be a roll call.
Should get a warning first, Ed.
There's a warning, Ed.
What?
Everybody else,
Five.
Roll call vote, please.
Well, I'm waiting.
You will
for
not
the
extort money
deputies
from
You
me.
have, the public comment resolution says you have to issue a warning, and then after that, there's removal.
Okay, that's the warning. That's,
To who?
That's good.
To who?
Okay, roll call. Kaiser,
Absolutely not, no extortion.
Klein,
Yes?
Tricky counts.
supervisor,
Yes, because it needs to be settled outside of this.
and clerk, yes.
One way or
Okay,
the other.
See you in court,
Okay.
folks.
Okay, park ordinance
And you'll
resolutions.
pay my attorney this time for most
Okay, this
expensive
ordinance,
lighting.
this resolution is the direct result of the request by Susan Reed.
I didn't request anything, but I just showed you what you said
Okay, yeah,
in the
and the
paper.
direct result of
Don't
Susan
put
Reed
words
showing
in
me
my mouth.
something that was inconsistent. Okay, the
That's
park
shameful.
and recreation
That
ordinance.
you won't admit to it?
Talks
Absolutely,
about-
I agree.
I did not.
Please.
That was in no shape.
Next.
Nothing was touched when I left there.
Mr. Comer has the floor, please.
Talks about all
Shame on you.
picnics have to get the approval of the office. And I never saw that. That was the exact same ordinance that's been in effect for quite a long time. The only thing I changed in it before was the fines, because I thought the fines were too low, and I didn't catch that particular thing. But since it said that all picnics had to be approved by the office, I think both Susan and I thought that was kind of ridiculous. So my resolution says that that section refers only to picnics in the pavilion. That's the change.
That makes sense, yeah.
How about an organized, how about an organized event?
That they call a picnic.
I mean, if you can call it a picnic in a park and invite 2,000 people. Because
Maybe it should be 2,000 people then.
So
If you
maybe,
go there with a group of 20 people that you work with and you want to have a picnic in the park, maybe you go in the pavilion to get out of the sun, I don't know, but you're just in there having a picnic, you're using the grill, cooking some hot dogs, having a hamburger, we have to come here and get permission to do it?
I would think that
No,
would be ridiculous.
that's ridiculous.
That would be, that's what I'm saying. I'm trying to get a point out here that there's a difference between casual use, public use, and there's a difference between an organized gathering with invitations.
With the word picnic.
It
Well-
doesn't matter what the word is. As long as it's an organized event, it's an event.
Okay,
You
can
can call
an
it a
organized
picnic, you can
event
call it a
could be 3
festival,
people.
you can call it a, whatever you want to call
Birthday
it. But if
party.
it's organized and you're sending out flyers to bring everybody to it, that becomes an event.
Okay, so why don't you just distinguish between events
Yeah.
and leave the
And
picnickers out of it, because the
and
park
casual
belongs to the
public use.
people.
Right, casual public use is somebody
That's
uses it.
theirs, it belongs to them.
Right,
So
So,
how do you want me to change
so
this?
say organized events,
organized events.
Not picnics.
that's right. You can have a picnic there anytime you want.
Okay, so it should say, refers only to picnics in the pavilion or organized events. Is that what it should say?
Sure, okay, I'll buy that.
No, but if I go down there and the pavilion isn't booked for anything, I can stand under the pavilion.
Sure you can, and if you have 5 people with you and you want to sit down, you can do that.
I should be able to.
You sure should.
But I shouldn't have to come here and get permission to stand under the pavilion, correct?
Well, that's taken care of after the vote, I think. Who made, did I make the motion?
Yes, and I'll support it if I can.
Kaiser?
If you could clarify your language, but no until I see clarified language.
Klein?
No.
Supervisor?
I'm going to say yes if it doesn't include the word picnics. Just any organized event.
Well, what it says after your,
And I think we need a definition on event. I don't think it should say picnics in that. I just think it should say an organized event and then clarify what an event is.
okay. Okay, I'll vote yes, and it'll fail 2-2, and we'll bring it back next year.
Yep.
I mean, next month.
Okay, motion failed.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, planning commission directives.
I think that might be the wrong word to call it. I don't think it should be called directives. The zoning and planning has kind of been spinning their wheels, and I sit on there, and I'm just as guilty as the rest, sitting there repaginating, rewriting, rewording, and nothing's really getting accomplished. I would much rather see the zoning and planning getting something done. And I think instead of calling this directives, this is just a jotted down kind of idea. It's not like it's enforceable to them.
Want big
But-
suggestions?
Well, yeah, it shouldn't be called directives, but I would much rather see us worrying about things that we can actually do and things that we can accomplish rather than sitting here and worrying about what could be 50 years from now, if never. I mean, it's sitting there rewriting history, right? Obviously, sometimes you gotta do that with an ordinance or something like that. But going back through the master plan and repaginating things that never happened or rewriting things that never happened, I would much rather see that master plan get a little more inclusive and adding things that can happen, like part-time vacation rentals. You know, that's something that's getting pretty popular and it's been in the media, and, you know, I would, you know, it's a good direction. Airport hub, you know, that's one of the things that a lot of smaller communities are looking at. How can they advertise their airport? Can they gain any industry off of it? Can they do something like an air show? That's the kind of stuff we were, you know, that we should be looking at, instead of just sitting around looking at the master plan saying, okay, well, that period shouldn't be there, or that word's a little too long, let's change it to this one.
All right, what Gordon, who has the most experience and is a master planner, what he discussed recently at this board meeting was needs assessment. We find out what the people want. We do our own writing and skip the NEMCOG input because we have to know what our people here want.
We never did that at the last zoning meeting.
Well, I'm not talking about your meeting. Here, when he had a rather lengthy discussion with us when we were trying to get a contract so we could have our Elk Fest, okay? And that came up too, and he is in favor, and he has the most experience there, and a master planner. He's in favor of our planning commission doing their own work for the simple reason we should know and we should assess and get input from our people as to what is in our master plan and what are our
Right.
priorities.
We should actually start working on things like that instead of sitting there, you know, there was nobody at our last meeting, and we sat there
Why
and we just
not?
reworded things. I think we should actually start working on something productive.
We'll set an agenda and adhere to it.
Well,
That's what we're
That's-
Where's your
suggesting
chair?
we do.
Your chair, give your chair your suggestions, set an agenda.
well, that's what this is. I mean, this
Well-
was actually came from one of the zoning and planning commissioners.
Well, doesn't Mr. Edwards chair that group?
He does, but unfortunately, he doesn't have the level of time it would take. I'd much rather actually see a different chairperson that has a little more ambition to it. I
Well,
really like Mark, he's a great guy and very knowledgeable, has all the experience in the world, but even out of his own mouth, he doesn't have the time to dedicate. I would like to see a different chairperson and keep Mark as a commissioner on the board because of his knowledge and his background. But that way we get somebody that wants to be productive and move forward.
I think Gordon's your man there. He's been at that for about 22 years, I'm thinking. He's 21, something like that. He was there when I served there in '99, so he was there the term before that.
Who's
So,
the chairperson now?
and Lord
Mark
knows he
Edwards.
participates and works around this community and with our groups.
21
I don't
years on
know.
that board, and how many times has he ever finished a CIP?
Pardon me?
21 years on the board, how many times has he done a CIP?
Umpteen times. And,
No, once, last year.
And
well,
that's
hey,
true.
it
Okay.
depends on who you're working with there, Craig, too.
Okay, I'm going to,
Can I make a
Yes.
motion?
Yes.
yeah,
I would make a motion that we get rid of the word directive and just say suggestion and forward this on to the zoning and planning.
second.
Okay, motion and a second to accept it. Any more discussion on it?
Yeah, they need to be an independent group, independent of this board.
Agreed.
We need them to be.
Agreed. So all in favor?
Aye.
No.
Motion passed. Okay. Easy dock bid, see attached. hopefully this will answer some of the questions.
Okay, we also have, if this same stuff, you'll see it in your board packet, some we just got today. So I put it right in with this,
Yeah, I was going to address that.
which is, okay, go ahead and address it.
Okay. Now, the Easy Dock bid came in for the kayak launch. It was late, we had to give them an extension. For whatever reason, everybody is either extremely busy or things are going rather slow with getting bids out. These bids are posted on the state's websites to people that actually have products that are approved by the DNR. So sometimes when you get the local bid, if somebody here has a DNR approved product, it will be on the DNR list, and they probably get a bid solicitation. But some things that the DNR will just outright pay for it, and unless somebody has engineered drawings, that's where they're coming up with specifications for DNR approval. So that's why it takes a bit longer, and that's why our selections are limited. It's because the DNR has to approve everything. So anyway, we do have one bid, and it's the only bid that we got for the DNR, for the kayak launch. There's similar ones out there that have been installed, probably the same company. So they are installing their kayak launches throughout the state, and I think there's a couple of them on the Thunder Bay River. And I think we'll be the furthest one upstream on the Thunder Bay. That said, we can go through that now, I can have more. We'll just vote on accepting the bid.
Yeah.
Because the board has to accept the bid, and then I have to go in on the DNR website and click some boxes so that they know that the board has accepted the bid. And then they can,
Problem is, we need an extension.
not yet,
Well, we need it by,
but I need
July
I need this
31st.
bid accepted.
okay, and then, okay, I'll move we accept the bid.
By accepting the bid, we're not voting to spend the money yet, right?
No, that is that's accepting the money.
Okay.
Correct.
What was budgeted for the kayak launch? How much?
Exactly when was,
When you guys set it up, you had a figure that had to be set up for this.
oh, the budget for all of this stuff was done almost 9 years ago.
I know,
Yeah, but unfortunately, things have changed. The budgets have all changed because we're doing changes to the grant location. So everything has changed as far as our grant. There is nothing that you can use in the original application that is going to hold true moving forward.
Was that ever updated through the years?
Have we ever been told about the changes in this group?
Yes, you recommended that we get the sidewalk done outside of the grant
grant,
area.
I see.
That is not inside the grant area.
That path is, the walking path is
It says-
definitely in
yes, it
the
is.
grant. 6-foot walking path.
I wish you guys would have been included throughout this entire thing, because you would understand that the grant area has a grant location, and those walking paths are outside of our grant application location.
Somebody
Now,
second
what
my
we're doing,
motion.
yes, what we're doing is asking for adjustments to the grant in order to get some of the things that have become a priority outside of the area. And they're working with us to do that. We can't make adjustments until we know what the costs are going to be, to know what adjustments we can make.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah, it's all very
How much was
fluid.
originally budgeted for the kayak launch in the DNR grant?
I don't have that in front of me.
Because this is over or under, that makes a big difference in how much money you have to do with the things.
Correct,
So,
correct, we're gonna have to
but
adjust.
you don't know, you're looking to pay this?
Yes, it's the only bid we got. We'd like to get it done and in for the public. What's that?
Might be the only one you have it now. I know when I talked to people in Traverse City, they told me that they thought they were gonna get more than one bid on this. And I've yet to see that, and maybe you haven't seen it either, but that's what I was told.
I really don't want the public to wait any longer.
Pardon?
We've got one bid, the DNR's approved the bid.
Yeah, that's why I asked. But they have a figure too,
Who's that?
the DNR. There's gotta be a budgeted figure in there for kayak launch.
Correct.
All right, are you over or under that bid? Under the bid.
Over or under what we
Your
budgeted?
bid,
Budgeted by
kayak
who?
launch.
The DNR? The DNR
the
accepted,
DNR grant.
the DNR accepted this amount for the
They have
kayak.
accepted it, but how does it affect the rest of the things that are going to be under that?
If we got one for half as much, we'd have twice as much to spend on something else. If we got one for twice as much as this,
That's
we'd
why I'm
have
asking,
half
are you
as
gonna
much.
come up
You don't have
short?
those figures
I
somewhat
wanna
in your
vote on
brain
this.
out there?
You should
I
have something
don't,
close.
we
Oh,
just
my
now
God.
got, I do not have all of these figures.
Then how are you prepared to-
Call the question?
I don't know how you can
Yes.
spend, prepare to spend the money if you don't know how it affects the rest of the project.
The whole project won't get done because we're moving outside the project. Yes,
Okay,
The DNR grant I have,
You gonna
yes,
vote or
we're
I call
in
the
it.
question?
it's gotta be a roll call.
okay, roll call. Kaiser,
No, too much confusion.
Klein,
Yes.
Supervisor,
Yes,
Clerk, yes.
it was approved.
Ask how much that is for. 30,000. I'll say that.
Yeah, we've got.
Okay, now we have,
Now, once again, doing these changes with the grant, and the lack of getting bids on repairs of the sidewalk is what slowed everything down and got us to this point. We could not get anybody to give us any bids on repairing that walkway. We've been on Goodrich for over a year before we got anything back from them, and they actually were down there and looked at it a year.
I move we adopt this resolution extending the grant period from July 31st, 19 to February 1st, 2020. And this was sent to us straight from our engineer, and he says these are always granted.
Okay, have we written a letter to appeal to the DNR grant committee requesting an extension on that? Because their deadline in their document says we were to be done with that by July 31st
This is
of
our-
this year.
He says he takes
This
care
is-
of that as soon as he gets our resolution. That's
We have
what
a
our
resolution.
engineer told us.
And to whom did you speak to?
What's his name?
Klaus.
Klaus.
Well, Klaus isn't, John and Lindsay chair our DNR grant committee, okay? They are the ones that control the grant and stipulated our timelines. So we need to appeal to them, not to Klaus.
Well, we have to appeal as a board, that's why we need a resolution to send to them.
A little late in the game since our deadline was the 31st.
It is
To
the
complete the
31st,
project.
not was the 31st.
Is, that's right.
So we have time to pass this today, that's why it's in front of you.
Barely. All right. So let's pass the resolution so we can appeal to the DNR to give you an extension.
Okay, did I make the motion? I
Yes,
did.
you made the motion.
seconded?
Did somebody second it?
Sounds like that.
Second, we need to appeal for an extension. We're not gonna be done by the 31st.
Okay. Roll call, Kaiser,
Yeah. Otherwise, we lose.
Yes.
Supervisor,
Yes.
Clerk, yes.
But we're still working on the sidewalk area and trying to get alternate bids and alternate solutions to that. We won't know what we have to lose inside the bid area to gain this. We won't know any of that until we get bids. And we have to roll with what we have and what bid prices come in. Unless you want to continue to get bids every month and every 3 months, and nothing will happen and the prices will just continue to go up.
I would like to offer a suggestion from John Zollard, which made a lot of sense and is cost effective. What you do is where the roots, the tree roots, heave the path, okay, you just take out that section because the majority of that path is still in pretty good shape. So you take out the root, patch that section, and do that to where the roots did heave it, and then you coat the whole thing after it's repaired, and we can do that very cost effectively if we went with John's suggestion. It made a lot of sense.
It'd be great, just as long as we have some estimates and the DNR approves the repairs, we're good to go.
Yeah, it's township property. Even that path is well onto our property, and
Yes.
it is in our DNR grant. I have that whole entire grant. So do most of the people
Pathway on
here.
487 and a small portion within the